Hi, everybody. So I'm so excited to be doing this live stream. I know I've been promising for a couple of weeks to do this live stream, and then I would just forget. The day would go by, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I said I was going to do what I've been watching live stream. But here we go. So this is about a little over a month of kind of updates of what's been going on, both stage and screen. And I am a professional film and theater critic, and so I've got lots of fun things to talk about. I have the chat room open, so if you want to make a comment, would love that. And there's also the super chat, so you can take a look at that. But here we go. So starting out, the very first thing that I saw as far as stage was The Drowsy Chaperone. This was at Midvale Arts. And Drudge Chaperone is really, really funny. And I saw it when it was in previews, actually, way back in 2006 with Sutton Foster. And I've seen it many, many times since. And what's interesting is that they keep kind of changing and evolving it. And in this new version, they have, instead of it being a monkey on a pedestal, they have it being a bunny on a pedestal, which I think is a little bit less funny and has like a little bit less satire. But yeah, they do what they do. But this was a very fun little production, community production, and it's a very funny show. It's kind of making fun of musical theater and all these tropes and these things that we know so well. So you should definitely check that out. It's one of those I can't imagine being offended by because the whole thing is satire. It's all part of the satire. I don't know. Then I saw on the 15th of July, I saw The Lion King in the re-release. So that was incredible to get to see on the big screen. I feel like the last couple of years I've gotten to see it on the big screen, and I always did. I'll take that any chance I get to see it on the big screen because it's such a moving story, such beautiful animation, such great songs. I definitely encourage you to do that as well if you get a chance. And we do have our 100th episode of Talking Disney Classics coming up, which I'm really excited about. We've already recorded it, and it is our new ranking episode. So yeah, it's been about 50 episodes or close to it about 40 episodes since we did our ranking. So it should be pretty fun. Okay. Then I saw Matilda, and I actually saw Matilda 4 times this summer, which is a lot to see Matilda. And I think it's a cute show in a lot of ways. Some really nice bops for the kids, and Trunchbull's funny, and I love The Smell of Rebellion. I think that's my favorite song because it's just so funny. I think that the problem is that it's overlong. The Escapologist plot is way too long, and it does nothing for the story. And I just think the book has problems, but it's still overall entertaining and very sweet. And these kids were really cute. This at Draper Historic, they had both of the Matildas were really young on the younger side of the role, and they were both adorable. Then I saw Twisters, and also I was a little bit disappointed by Twisters. I was disappointed in the romance or lack of a romance. And I just thought the character, the townspeople, and the way they showed the Midwest was so stupid. They were so dumb. They're out there playing baseball, and there's a funnel cloud coming towards them. They're going to a rodeo, and there's just been this mass destruction right near their town. Like that makes no sense. And I thought the businessmen were so dumb, and I don't know. I felt like it just could have been so much better. It had fun things about it, but I was disappointed. Then I saw Hunchback of Notre Dame. This was fun. I went with my dad. This was at Murray Arts. I reviewed this for UTBA, and it was really amazing. They had a full orchestra and a 30-member choir. That was really impressive. And I do think that this Broadway musical for Hunchback of Notre Dame improves upon the movie in almost every way. They give Frollo more context, more motivation. We understand the character better. It takes out the things that don't work in the movie, like A Guy Like You, things like that. So I think it's really good. And then I saw Newsies. And if you want to hear my ranking of the Disney theatricals, you should check out On Stage blog. Me and Jax, we did a ranking of the Disney theatricals, and that was fun. And this was great. This little Newsies production. It's real fun. Syracuse Arts Council. Then I saw National Anthem, and this is an indie. It's a very sexy movie, so just for adults. But it's about this. It's Charlie Plummer, who I think is like a great teen actor, and he meets this group, this kind of commune of gay rodeo performers, not circus, rodeo performers, and particularly there's this trans woman that he falls in love with, and it's a lovely little movie, beautifully filmed, well acted. And then I saw Beauty and the Beast, and that was an incredible production. They had a full live orchestra. The sets were so good. All the talent was great. They did some really creative things, like they had the Beast Rose, be a dancer, which I'd never seen that before. That was really creative. So that was wonderful. Then I saw the effect of gamma rays on Man in the Moon Marigolds. And this is a play from the 1970s. I guess there's a movie version of it. I guess it was very popular when it came out. This was intense. This mother is so toxic. And it was very well done, extremely well acted. But boy, I mean, it was very depressing. I really think what happens with the mom and what she does at the end is unforgivable, unredeemable. Really, it was bad what she does, but it was interesting, something different. I appreciate that. Then I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and I actually thought this was pretty funny. It's as simple as that. Either it makes you laugh or it doesn't. Like, it's not going to win. Anytime that it started to explain the MCU or get into plot, it really started to like sag down. But if it was just worrying about making you laugh and this chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, I was entertained. Then we have Wait Until Dark. I saw at the Covey Center, and this was so perfect because it's a black box. And what better play to see in a black box than Wait Until Dark? It gets so dark because this is what you need. And I thought the acting was all excellent here. It's such a good play. It's so well written. So it builds a tension so well. If you ever get a chance to see it, highly recommend it. We had a comment here that D23 was phenomenal this year. Loads of announcements. It's really true. I was skeptical. Couldn't afford it this year, but I was skeptical anyway. Whether the new changes would really help that much. And that they would really announce that much, and especially the Parks panel. I was shocked how many announcements they made at that Parks panel. I was really surprised, and so it's got to be some bit of universal. It's got to be some universal breathing down their necks that they're feeling it, because these were not blue sky projects. These are in development, they're happening, they're everything. And I'm a Disneyland girl, not a Disney World girl. I've only been to Disney World once. But so I understand why some people are upset about some of those announcements, but they don't hit as close to home for me, because I've never been to Disneyland, Disney World as an adult. But Disneyland, to get a Coco ride is pretty exciting, and some of the other things that they talked about should be really cool. And Incredibles 3, yeah. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be great. And there wasn't a ton. Most of the other stuff we knew about that they had announced as far as the films, but still, there was that Hoppers for Pixar, which my friend Stanford said looked really good. So that's exciting. And always look forward to things from Pixar, of course. And he said that even like Toy Story 5 looked impressive. He just felt really positive about the panel in general. So except for the Snow White, he didn't like that at all. So we'll see. And he says, I'm so hyped for Zootopia 2. I feel like there's a lot of potential with that. And Stanford said that the clips were really funny, but also I just feel like you give them another case. Like, it seems like a very natural one to have a sequel, give them another case. So that should be good. Okay, let's see here. Ray says, I'm honestly thrilled they're doing Incredibles 3. Also, Toy Story 5 is being written and directed by Andrew Stanton. That's true. That's true. And so far, for me at least, they haven't, except for Lightyear, that's the only real miss in the Toy Story world so far. So they have had a pretty good run with those movies. So I think people are just scared that the run's gonna dry and it's not gonna be good. But we'll see. How does Woody come back this time? I don't know, but it seemed like a much better D23 than I was anticipating, especially that Parks panel. I couldn't believe how much they announced. It was amazing. Villains Land. Oh my gosh. Like, is Disney actually acknowledging villains? The villains exist. They've hardly had any villains for like the last 20 years. So this is exciting. And so we have here, that's what gets me excited gives me hope for Toy Story 5, and the plot sounds interesting. So I didn't hear the plots. You have to write it in. Tell them what the plot is. Did they explain why Woody's back in the thing? I didn't hear that. Okay, let's keep going. Take more as they come. Okay, so then I saw, let's see here. I saw Matilda again because I had another friend. I saw Robot Dreams, which I loved so much. It's such a sweet, tender-hearted movie. And if you're somebody who thinks you don't want to watch international animation, first of all, you should change. But second of all, this has no dialogue. So there's no subtitles, there's no nothing. And so it doesn't matter where it was made. It's no dialogue. It's so sweet and lovely and such a wonderful friendship story. And so, yeah, you've got to watch Robot Dreams when you have a chance. And then I went to Salt Lake Fringe for 2 shows, which Fringe is kind of like an experimental thing. You get to see like a bunch of one-acts. I just did 2 shows, and that was fun. I saw Aida, which is one of my favorite shows. I love Aida, and this is from Disney Theatricals. And I don't know why it's not done more. I really don't, because it's such a good show. It's got such good songs. It's a great love story. I don't know, but this was very well done. There were a few weak singers, but the leads were really strong. The choreography was strong. The sets were wonderful. It was really a great night. That was at Ogden Musical Theater. Then I saw, let's see here. I saw The Little Mermaid at the Empress. It was not the strongest. And it was so strange because I could tell that the Ariel had like a good voice in her, but she was being directed to play Ariel very like meek and like shy. It was such an odd choice. And like there were times I was in the front row and I could barely hear her. She was like whispering. It was so odd. Even for Part of Your World. It was like this sweet kind of part of your world. I was just like, what? You can't play Ariel that way. It's just too much of a character. I don't know. It was very strange. And the Eric was weak. And they said in the program that he had never acted before, and he was just there with his girlfriend. She was trying out, and they were like, hey, would you like to be in the play? So there you go. Community theater, folks. Then I got to see Hamilton. This is the national tour. They're actually here in Salt Lake for over a month, which is very exciting. So I got to write the review for UTBA on Hamilton. And it's Hamilton is Hamilton. Hamilton's great songs. It's amazing how much story they really pack into that 3 hours. I mean, they tell everything that happened to Alexander Hamilton. And it covers a lot of ground, a lot of characters, and they're able to keep kind of the actors and the set and everything sort of nimble enough that they can just adapt it, whether they're talking about the war, whether they're talking about the Constitutional Convention, whether they're talking about the duel, whatever it is, they can just make it kind of morph into it. And it was interesting because we had 2 understudies the night I was there, which was fascinating. So, and they were good. The Aaron Burr was a little stiff. He didn't quite nail it, but it was still, Hamilton is Hamilton. Let's see here. I thought Hopper sounds like a standard bad kitty film. John Hamm will voice a mayor who wants to destroy the Beavers' home Very firm goalie. Once upon a forest. Norm of the North. Ooh, Norm of the North. Yeah, that's fair. I didn't really see a whole lot of the plot. I just saw the image and everything, and it looked kind of turning red, which isn't my favorite. So, I guess it just will come down to the writing, because tropes can be really good. It just depends on how they're done, how they're executed. Okay. Then Hopper sounds cute for Pixar, and it's original. I mean, it's interesting because Jeremiah's saying it sounds really derivative, and that's kind of how I felt about Elemental. Like, yes, technically it was original, but it had so many elements of other films. Yes, that is a bizarre way to direct Ariel. She's the opposite of shy. Hearing anything Ariel says shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, it was so odd. It just wasn't. And usually the Empress is excellent. This was it was the worst thing I've ever seen from them. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? Okay, so let's keep going. I saw Harold and the Purple Crayon, and this is another one of these movies supposedly about imagination to have almost no imagination. Like, it was so bland. Like, most of the movie is them just like hanging around the city, like very shenanigans. Like, there's very little imagination. Like, towards the end, it kind of goes Power Rangery on, and Jermaine Clement is trying as hard as he can in this villain role. But the whole time, especially with Zooey Deschanel being in there, you're thinking, this should be Elf. It should be so much better. It should be so much funnier. It should be, or Enchanted, or something like that. It was so boring. It was painful to get through. I really disliked it. Let's see here. The concept art they showed for Hoppers looked cool. I like the art style. Cool. Very good. The plot sounds interesting. An animal body swap movie. Okay. So there's adding that as well as the save the home thing. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Then I saw Trap. This was a double header. It was not the strongest day at the movies. Purple Crayon and Trap. Trap, I mean, for about the first 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, is pretty entertaining. But then, especially once he moves beyond the trap and they end up at the home, and it's all relying on Raven to do a lot of these acting, and things just make no sense. It's completely like characters will just all of a sudden appear and disappear. There's nothing that makes sense. And it really, people were offended that I said it was like a Lifetime thriller, but I stand by that every step of the word. Even having former child stars is a very Lifetime-y thing. The whole setup, the way that the dialogue was extremely Lifetime-y. And like, I think he was probably going for that kind of schlocky B thriller. But the problem is it's too long to be. Lifetime movies are about 80 minutes. And taking itself to it did have a sense of humor about it, but I don't know. I think the Lifetime analogy is very, very accurate. I really do. Let's see. And you've got the guy who created We Bare Bears. That is very encouraging because he is very funny, very good. And he says, this is another one of those movies about imagination to have almost no imagination. Well put. Harold sounds dull as dishwasher. It really was so boring. I was just like, oh. So yeah, it was bad. It was very, very bad. Okay. Then I saw Matilda again. Oh, too much Matilda, but I had another friend who was in it. I saw 12th Night, and this is at the Parker Theater. So if you're in town, the Parker Theater is absolutely excellent. They do mostly period pieces. So it's usually stuff from like the 1800s and the early 1900s. And like they did Pride and Prejudice this year, which I loved so much. And 12th Night is one of my favorite Shakespeare's. And this was excellent. All the acting was great. It was very funny. And I love Parker Theater because they have themed concessions with each show, which I just think is so fun and so funny. And I love that. So let's see here. Also, another Pixar movie that looks interesting was Elio. A lot of changes being made, like the director got changed to the Turning Red Maker. I didn't realize that. Interesting. Huh. because they delayed it a year. So I thought they delayed it just because of the strike, but it must have been other stuff. If they're changing the director at this point, that seems crazy. Wow. And then that is encouraging love. Love We Bear Bears. Michelle Benson. Hi. My friend from Scotland is on the chat. Okay, so 12th Night was great. And then I saw Mamma Mia and Sandy. It was so good. I wasn't expecting it to be, because Mamma Mia can actually be kind of boring because just like not that much happens, and it's all these like the plot. You don't go see Mamma Mia for the plot. This was so well directed. It's like they thought of everything. The set was amazing. It had 2 stories, and it was very interactive set. And they always had like people in the background doing stuff when people in the foreground were acting. They really, really did think of everything. Choreography was great. All the leads were excellent. It was so much better than I was expecting, and I just ended up having a great time with it. So yeah, it's still playing the next couple of days until 17th at Sandy Arts Guild. So people should see it if you're in town. Let's see. I'm also excited to see Wild Robot. Oh my gosh. And Transformers 1 next month. I'm hearing rave reactions for both. Yeah, the early response, because that first trailer for the Transformers looked bad. But everything I've heard from anybody who's seen it is like, it was actually really good. So yay, that makes me happy. I'm excited. Okay, then we had Your Good Man Charlie Brown. I saw this play, and this was really sweet. I've been wanting to see it. It was on my bucket list. I'd never seen it, and it's interesting because I feel like 25th Annual Putnam Spelling Bee kind of took this formula and like made it even better. Of course, Your Good Man Charlie Brown was written in 1968, whereas Putnam was, I think, 2005 or 6, and so there's a huge difference. But they just took a similar concept and they made it even funnier. But this was a really wonderful cast. They were all great. All of the sets were great. The costumes were great. This was in a black box, and it was fun to see. I probably wouldn't see it again, but I enjoyed seeing it the one time. Okay, let's see here. Then I went to the Shakespeare Festival. Well, then I saw It Ends With Us. And, it's interesting, guys. I think that it really depends a lot on if you like this book, which there are tons of fans. It's extremely popular. Then I can't imagine you not liking this movie. Like, you will like this movie. And so it was a hard review to write because I felt like they did what they could with what they had. And they made Atlas, I think, more likable. And so there's at least like one redeemable man. And whereas the book felt very like men suck, men are horrible, stay away from men, her dad's horrible. I mean, Atlas is less horrible, but still kind of clingy. And then of course Raoul is horrible. And it is kind of interesting what they do in the movie, like her being the unreliable narrator. And then you realize like, oh, they made it seem like, oh, that was an accident, but it was actually, there was a lot more to it in reality. So that was interesting. It has some interesting things to say, but it's just not for me, the story and the way it portrays men. And she's like the worst florist. Her floral arrangements were so ugly. I didn't like them at all. But but they did do an incredible job with casting. The person who played young Blake Lively looked exactly like her. Like, that was very impressive. But I didn't like the way that they kept Raoul as seeming so wonderful for so long. It was kind of like saying, well, those of you who believe in true love and believed in all of those love scenes, you're the fool, you're the silly one, and it ends with us, and all this. And so I wasn't a big fan of it, but I understand why some people really enjoyed it because it is very close to the book. I only saw the first Wild Robot trailer. It was stunning. I can hardly wait. As for Good Man Charlie Brown, I love the play and animated film. It's fun seeing Snoopy talk. Yeah, totally. See here. I got swept up in the hype of the book, my first and last Colleen Hoover book. Not for me. I agree. Not for me. I did not like it at all. I just don't like it, and to a certain extent, like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when if all you portray is that men are pigs, then what are they going to be? They're going to be pigs. And And if you're telling women that the only options are to be alone or to be in an abusive situation that ends with us, and that, then I think that's also a fulfilling prophecy. Like, because most people don't want to be alone, but the truth is there is a possibility for productive and wonderful relationships. I mean, my parents have been together for over 45 years, and they're happy, and my dad isn't abusive. There are good men out there, and so to portray it as one or the other, you're either alone or you're abused, is not good. And at least in the movie, they did make Atlas, I think, more of a refuge for her, more of a safe space. But still, I know, I just don't like the way they portray the men in this book. I've heard Hoover is an exceptionally problematic writer. Also, she thinks she's funny, and she's not. I'm staying the heck away for the sake of my mental health. Yeah, yeah. Like, I get it. People that like it, I get it, and I understand, why you're able to kind of ignore things that bother me. I totally get it. Not for me. Not for me. So that is the movie that I saw, and then I went to the Shakespeare Festival. And I saw 39 Steps, which was the one non-Shakespeare that I saw. And I've noticed that in watching theater, like, the comedies tend to not be as rewatchable as the dramas for me. And like, there's just a lot of them that I liked the first time I saw them, like Gentleman's Guide and Play the Ghost Wrong, and and now I'm just kind of sick of them. And I think I can add 39 Steps to that list. Like, it was just too over the top. It wasn't that funny, and the theater was so cold. I had, like, air blowing in my face, so that was frustrating. So it kind of got started on not the best note. I didn't love that. But then I saw Much Ado About Nothing, and I ended up seeing this twice because I loved it so much. I really loved the Benedict. He is such a good actor, and it was really, really well directed. Like, little things, like in the Golian scene, which was the scene, the eavesdropping scene. They had him step into this bucket, this pail, and then he has this pail on him the whole scene, and it just made everything more funny than it would be without the pail. It was just like stuff, little details that just made everything work so much better. And over on Hallmarkies podcast with Terry, we did the ranking of our favorite Shakespeare's movies, and that was really fun. So if you should check that out, you'd like it. But I love Much Ado About Nothing. That's probably my favorite Shakespeare, that or Twelfth Night. And then we saw Henry VIII, and this is not done very much. It's only the third time in the 63-year history of the festival that they've done it. And I can see why. It's kind of dry. It's not that exciting. It's about Catherine, his first wife, and her standing up to everybody and being the hero, and Anne Boleyn and everything. And it was very interesting because basically this was a propaganda play. I mean, because Elizabeth was their patron, that they were the king's players. And so when they were writing this, they're trying to keep the monarchy happy, which is very interesting. And it was fascinating because I'd just seen Firebrand with Jude Law playing Henry VIII as this total beast. And so it's interesting to watch this, like, propaganda play and then see this other version. So it was interesting, but a little dry. And then I saw Much Ado About Nothing again. I went a second time, and I saw The Winter's Tale. And I'd never seen this Shakespeare, but I don't know why it's not done more. It's really good. It's kind of reminded me of Midsummer's Night's Dream. It's got a lot of those same elements. It's got some magical realism moments. It's got humor. It's got lots of drama. All the actors were really good. I liked it a lot. I was afraid it was going to be boring. I don't know why, but I ended up really enjoying it. Then I saw Much Ado About Nothing, and then I saw Taming of the Shrew. And it was interesting because the way they did it, they had it as like a play within a play, and they really heightened up the play within a play to make it seem like complete fantasy. And I can understand why you want to do that because of the violent parts of the play. But I think they went a little bit too far. Like, Bianca had these crazy braids on, and everything looked like it was out of Dr. Seuss, and it was just a little much. But it was unfortunate because we only got to go to half of the play. because it got canceled because of lightning. So that was too bad. But yeah, so that was Taming of the Shrew. And then I saw Alien Romulus yesterday. I cannot talk about it. The embargo is still up, but I can share. So we were at the IMAX in Valley Fair, and we've had problems with this theater in the past. And the sound mix was all messed up. And I don't know how much of that is the theater I was at. You couldn't hear what people were saying at times. You couldn't understand them. It reminded me of watching Tenet, not quite that bad, but at least Tenet was, I mean, at least this wasn't incomprehensible like Tenet. But I'm going to see it again on Thursday at a different theater with a different screen, with a different sound system. And so, that'll be my kind of test to see how I feel. But I did talk to Sean, and he said that he was like, oh, sort of Nolan like dialogue. And I was like, yeah. And he said he felt that way too about his theater in Texas. So who knows? I don't know, but I will give it a second chance to just make sure it wasn't just my theater, because I don't want my experience to be compromised like that. So I will let you know on Thursday. Let's see here. Also, that second trailer for Transformers was a big improvement over the first trailer. I do agree. I agree. And art school is going well. Great. I love hearing that. Very good. But I can tell you what I said in my out of theater reaction, aside from the sound being wonky. I think people are really gonna like it. Like it's scary. It has good atmosphere. I am not enough of an alien expert to be able to tell you all of the Easter eggs and the nods and the other things like that. But overall, I think it is pretty entertaining. So that's basically what's my out of theater response. Bad sound, entertaining. So that is everything. I can't believe it. I've seen 100 shows this year. Live theater, and I have seen 95 movies in theater, so that's pretty good. So hearing mixed things about the new Aliens, seeing it Friday, excited. I didn't realize it was set between the first and second original movies, so not much prep required. Yeah, I mean, I think overall it's pretty crowd pleasing as far as like a thriller horror kind of movie, that it's pretty scary. But again, I'm no expert on Alien or on sci-fi, so some of the critiques some people have will probably be over my head. But there was a definite problem with the sound, and so I'm going to see it again on Thursday, and I will know how much of that was just theater versus the decisions of the director. So I don't know why directors do this, why they decide to make the characters, why Nolan does this, and you can't understand what they're saying. I have no idea. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. But anyway, that's what it felt like. But there we go. So that is everything over the last month. And yeah, thanks so much for chatting and listening, and let me know what you think about all the different things we talked about. I appreciate it. And make sure you check out the Patreon group. We have a really fun patron watch along coming up this month with writer Mike Grimm, who we're going to do The Gift of Peace, which is a Hallmark film that he wrote. But it's really interesting to learn how things are made, and how people come up with ideas and all of that. So check that out. A lot of other benefits to being a patron, get early episodes, other stuff like that. So please take a look at the Patreon, and then the merch store. Lots of fun designs. You can hashtag Animation Junkie shirts over there, and I'm an animation girl. Check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.